Have you ever wondered how many things you've tolerated throughout your life just to avoid conflict or keep others comfortable? Over the years, you may have developed endless patience for hurtful comments, unfair decisions, or even blatant disrespect, things that go against what you truly need and deserve. But as you grow older, one thing becomes clearer than ever: your peace and dignity are non-negotiable. You're no longer in a stage of life where you have to carry the weight of others' expectations or justify your need for tranquility. This is your time to live fully, setting boundaries that protect your emotional, physical, and spiritual well-being. Because you deserve respect, not for what you do, but for who you are and everything you've lived through. In this video, I'll share 10 behaviors you should no longer tolerate from anyone, not even from those closest to you. You'll learn to recognize these attitudes and, most importantly, how to confront them with strength and serenity. Marcus Aurelius, one of the great Stoics, once said, "The tranquility you seek is within you. Don't depend on others' will to find it." So stay until the end, because these reflections will not only help you regain control over your life, but also strengthen your purpose in this invaluable stage. My name is Gabriel, and if this is your first time here, I invite you to subscribe and turn on the notification bell. Now let's begin. Number 1. Treating you as if you can no longer do things right. As we move through life, our independence becomes an even more precious treasure, not just because it allows us to make our own choices, but because it's a direct reflection of our dignity. However, one of the most damaging behaviors you may face as you age is when others, even your own loved ones, dismiss that essential autonomy. It can show up in subtle ways, like deciding for you what you should eat, how you should dress, or how you should spend your time. Or it can be more obvious, like making major decisions about your life without even consulting you. These actions, though often well-intentioned, can slowly erode your sense of identity and control over your own existence. Seneca once said, "No one can rule you unless you allow it." This Stoic wisdom reminds us that while we can't always control how others behave, we can set clear boundaries to protect what is rightfully ours, our autonomy. Maintaining it doesn't mean rejecting help or support. It means demanding the respect you deserve as a capable and conscious individual. It's an act of self-love and a deep acknowledgement of your inherent worth. I remember a woman named Lucy who had spent her entire life caring for her family. When she reached her 70s, her daughter began deciding what she should eat, when she should go out, and how she should manage her money, insisting it was for her own good. At first, Lucy silently accepted these impositions, but over time, she started to feel invisible. That quiet loss of independence made her doubt herself, her ability to manage her own life. Then, one day, she decided to take back control. With calm, yet firm resolve, she told her daughter, "I appreciate your help, but I decide how to live my life." It wasn't easy, but in doing so, she reclaimed her voice. Maintaining your independence doesn't mean resisting change or refusing help when needed. It means holding onto the reins of your own decisions, even in difficult moments. If someone in your life dismisses your ability to choose, remember this: your experiences, values, and decisions are still yours. This applies to everything from small choices, like what movie to watch, to major life decisions, like where to live or how to manage your finances. In Stoic philosophy, there's a concept of self-determination. Epictetus taught that true freedom lies in governing ourselves. Nothing is greater than ruling oneself, he said. It's not just about resisting outside influence, but about continuously reaffirming your right to decide how you want to live. This right does not fade with age. It strengthens because it is built on experience and wisdom. So how can you protect your autonomy from those who, even with good intentions, try to take control? First, set clear boundaries. Communicate your wishes firmly but respectfully. A simple statement like, "I know you want to help, but I prefer to decide this for myself," can make all the difference. Second, reinforce your self-confidence by reminding yourself of all the difficult decisions you've made and overcome. And finally, never let others make you feel incapable just because of your age. Growing older does not diminish your ability to think, feel, and choose. It only adds wisdom to your decisions. Your independence is sacred because it is the core of your dignity. If you allow others to disregard your autonomy, you may gradually lose control over your life, and with it, your connection to what truly matters, being the master of your own destiny. Don't be afraid to speak up when someone crosses that line. Remember, respect is not demanded through shouting, but through the clarity and firmness of someone who knows their worth. Your life, your choices, your rules, that's not selfishness, it's self-respect. Because in the end, no one can decide for you better than you can. Number 2, making you feel like your feelings don't matter. As we grow older, our emotions don't lose their value or relevance. If anything, they become a map of our experiences, telling the story of who we are and what we've lived through. Yet one of the most painful behaviors you may encounter is when someone dismisses your emotions, treating them as insignificant or exaggerated. Phrases like, "You're too old for that," or "Don't be so emotional," don't just invalidate your feelings. They make you feel invisible, as if your inner world no longer matters. Seneca reminds us, no emotion is useless if we learn from it. Stoic philosophy doesn't tell us to suppress our feelings, but rather to understand and manage them with wisdom. Your emotions, whether sadness, joy, nostalgia, or even anger, are an intrinsic part of being human. Ignoring them or allowing others to downplay them isn't just unfair. It also robs you of the opportunity to understand yourself on a deeper level. It's important to recognize that there is no age limit on feeling deeply. Love, loss, fear, and hope do not fade with time. Often, those who minimize your emotions do so out of their own discomfort or inability to process feelings. But that doesn't mean you should accept their dismissal as truth. Your emotions are a sign that you're alive, engaged with the world, and connected to those around you. Let's take sadness as an example. You may experience the loss of friends, a spouse, or even the role you once had in your career. These transitions can bring a mix of difficult emotions. You don't have to justify your pain to anyone or let others tell you that you shouldn't feel that way. Grief is natural, and facing it honestly, rather than hiding it, allows for emotional growth. As Marcus Aurelius said, the soul becomes stronger with every emotional challenge it overcomes. Joy is often dismissed in old age as well. You might find happiness in things others see as small, admiring a flower in the garden or sharing a quiet cup of coffee with someone special. Don't let comments like, "It's not a big deal," take away your ability to find beauty in the everyday. Your happiness deserves to be celebrated because it's proof that you are still fully living, no matter what stage of life you're in. So how can you protect your emotions from those who minimize them? First, learn to validate your own feelings. You don't need anyone's approval to feel what you feel. If you're sad, allow yourself to be sad without guilt. If you're happy, express it without fear of judgment. Second, set boundaries with those who tend to dismiss your emotions. A simple statement like, "What I feel is important to me, even if you don't understand it," not only protects your emotional dignity, but also teaches others to respect you on a deeper level. Stoic philosophy also encourages us to manage our emotions in a healthy way. Epictetus said, "It is not events that disturb us, but our interpretation of them." This doesn't mean ignoring your emotions, but rather learning to interpret them in a way that strengthens you instead of breaking you. For example, if someone says something that hurts your feelings, instead of suppressing that pain, ask yourself, why does this affect me so much? What can I learn from this situation? Your ability to feel is one of your greatest strengths, not a weakness. Every emotion you experience is an opportunity to grow, reflect, and connect with the world around you. Never let anyone minimize what you feel, because your emotions are a reflection of a life rich with experience and wisdom. And above all, remember this: your emotions are yours, and they don't need to be justified to anyone. Every time you allow yourself to feel, regardless of what others think, you are honoring the depth of your humanity. No matter your age, your heart remains the driving force of a meaningful life. Your feelings matter, always. Number 3, disrespect for your faith and values. In later years, spiritual exploration can become an essential refuge, a source of serenity and purpose that brightens even the darkest days and gives meaning to every life experience. However, one of the most painful and discouraging behaviors you may encounter is when others ignore or belittle your connection to the spiritual, whatever form it may take: prayer, meditation, contemplation, or simply reflecting on life and death. When someone dismisses your spiritual journey with remarks like, "That stuff doesn't matter," or "It's too late for that now," they're disregarding a fundamental part of who you are. It's not just about beliefs or rituals, it's about an internal journey toward peace, purpose, and a connection with something greater than yourself. As Seneca once said, to navigate successfully, the soul needs a harbor to sail toward. Your spiritual path is that harbor, a place of comfort and strength. Spirituality doesn't take just one form. For some, it's the religious faith they grew up with. For others, it's a connection to nature, philosophy, or art. Whatever shape it takes, what matters is that this journey belongs to you and only you. No one has the right to belittle or dismiss it, because it is a pillar that upholds your inner peace in moments of uncertainty. Stoic teachings align perfectly with this spiritual search. In Meditations, Marcus Aurelius spoke of living in harmony with the natural order of the universe, of accepting what life gives and takes away with gratitude. This perspective is not so different from many spiritual traditions that teach us to find meaning in what seems chaotic or painful. Your search for peace and transcendence is not a passing whim. It is a fundamental human need that becomes even more evident with time. Don't let anyone tell you that your faith, your values, or your practices are irrelevant or outdated. If you find comfort in praying, meditating, reflecting, or simply walking through the woods in silence, those acts are invaluable because they connect you to what truly matters, yourself and the universe around you. To ignore this search is like extinguishing a light that guides you through the dark. Society often prioritizes what is tangible, measurable, and overlooks what is intangible and difficult to explain in words. But spirituality doesn't need to be understood by others to be valuable to you. It is a personal space where you find answers, comfort, and the strength to face life's challenges. If someone dismisses your spiritual practices, remember that you don't need to justify your faith or values to anyone. Your spiritual journey is not meant to be validated by others. It exists to nourish your soul and bring you peace. Share it if you wish, but never feel obligated to explain it. As Epictetus said, the secret to happiness is not in seeking more, but in developing the capacity to enjoy less. This includes embracing your spiritual connection without worrying about what others think. More than that, your spiritual path serves as an example to those around you, even if they don't acknowledge it right away. When others see your serenity, your ability to find meaning in difficult moments, and your dedication to something greater than yourself, they may start reflecting on their own lives. Instead of arguing or trying to convince them of the importance of spirituality, simply live according to your values. As Marcus Aurelius said, the best way to defend yourself is to not become like them. At the end of the day, your spirituality is a refuge that no one can take from you. It is where you find comfort, the strength to move forward, and the clarity to accept life as it is. To ignore this search would be to ignore yourself, and that should never be an option. If you ever feel that others don't respect this part of your life, just remember, your spiritual journey does not require external approval. Keep nurturing your faith, your values, and your practices because they are treasures that belong to you. And every time you connect with something greater than yourself, you are reaffirming that even in the hardest moments, your spirit remains free, strong, and deeply human. Your spirituality deserves respect, always. Number 4, they don't understand that your well-being is non-negotiable. As the years go by, it's natural to feel that life demands more care and attention to your well-being, yet it's just as common for those around you not to fully understand this. Maybe it's a son or daughter who assumes, without bad intentions, that you'll always be available, or a friend who constantly calls to vent but never asks how you are. These small demands, seemingly harmless, can add up and drain your energy, leaving you physically and emotionally exhausted. If you've ever felt this way, know that you're not alone. Many people at this stage in life struggle with the desire to support those they love without sacrificing their own peace and health. And here's the key: you don't have to sacrifice yourself. Your well-being is not something to be bargained away. Stoic wisdom reminds us that what is within our control is the most valuable thing we have. Epictetus once said, "Do not surrender your soul to others. Protect it as you would something sacred." This means your time, energy, and health deserve to be defended. If you don't set boundaries, you risk becoming someone who gives everything away, only to be left feeling empty inside. You've probably heard things like, "Can you watch the kids this weekend?" Or, "I just need a quick favor," and felt guilty about saying no. But let me tell you something. Protecting yourself is not selfish. Saying no when you need to doesn't mean you love others any less. It means you also love yourself. I remember a family friend, Mary, a generous and kind woman who always said yes to everything. She watched her grandchildren 3 times a week, cooked for the family, helped neighbors with errands, and rarely took time for herself. One day, her body couldn't keep up. She fell ill and for weeks was unable to do any of the things that had filled her time. During that period, she realized something crucial. If we don't take care of ourselves, we can't truly care for anyone else. You too can find balance. Start by reflecting on the demands placed on you and asking yourself, is this really my responsibility? Can I do this without compromising my health or peace of mind? Not everything that is asked of you deserves your time, and learning to prioritize is an act of wisdom and self-respect. Seneca said, "A man who has no time for himself is more a slave than he is free." At this stage in life, your freedom is more important than ever. It's not about rejecting those you love. It's about being honest about what you can give and what you need to reserve for yourself. Imagine one of your children asks you to watch your grandchildren for an entire weekend, something you know will be exhausting because you already have other commitments or simply need time to rest. Instead of saying yes out of obligation and ending up depleted, you could respond, "Sweetheart, you know I love spending time with the kids, but this weekend I really need to rest and focus on a few things I already had planned. Maybe we can find another solution, like having someone help for a few hours, and I can see them later in the week." This response not only sets a clear boundary, but it also shows that you're still willing to help within your limits. It also encourages finding solutions together instead of putting all the responsibility on you. It's important to remember that well-being isn't just about physical health. Emotional burdens can be just as heavy. Those conversations where someone only calls to unload their problems but never to share joy can leave you drained without even realizing it. Learn to recognize when you need a break. You can simply say, "I need some time for myself today. Let's talk later when I can really listen." Taking care of yourself is not selfish, it's necessary. If you're not well, you can't truly be present for those you love. And by setting boundaries, you teach others to respect your time and energy. In the end, this strengthens relationships rather than weakening them. Marcus Aurelius said, "Nothing should steal your peace unless you allow it." Protecting your well-being is protecting your peace. You have every right to enjoy this stage of life with the tranquility and balance you've worked so hard to deserve. So don't be afraid to set boundaries and prioritize yourself, because in that self-care lies the foundation of a fulfilling, purposeful life. Number 5, invalidating your life experience. As the years go by, the stories you carry with you become an invaluable treasure, lessons shaped by time and experience. Yet, you may have encountered comments that dismiss your wisdom, labeling your advice as outdated or irrelevant. These moments can be painful because it's not just about dismissing your words, it's about ignoring the value of an entire lifetime. Think about it. How many times have you watched someone make a mistake you've already lived through, offered advice, and been ignored? That feeling that what you know isn't valued can be frustrating. But here's the key. Your wisdom remains valuable even if others don't recognize it right away. Seneca once said, "Life is long enough if you use it well." And you have used yours well. You've faced challenges, learned from mistakes, and grown through every triumph and every fall. Your stories aren't old. They are mirrors where others can see reflections of their own paths. Instead of letting comments like, "That's not how things work anymore," or "Times have changed," silence your voice, remember that you don't need anyone's validation to share your experience. Not everyone will be ready to listen, and that's okay. What matters is that you continue to speak from a place of authenticity and love without expecting immediate recognition. Imagine sharing with your grandson how you used to save money during difficult times. He might say, "That doesn't work nowadays." But maybe, at some point in the future, when he faces a financial challenge, he'll remember your words and find guidance in them. Wisdom, like a seed, sometimes takes time to bear fruit. Marcus Aurelius reminds us that the quality of our thoughts shapes our lives. If you allow others' opinions to silence your voice, you might fall into the trap of thinking you no longer have anything to offer. But that's simply not true. Every story you share, every lesson you pass on, extends your influence and enriches the lives of those around you, even if they don't realize it yet. If someone dismisses your advice, don't take it as a rejection of you as a person. Instead, see it as a sign that they may not be ready to understand the value you bring. Respond with calm and confidence. What I'm sharing is something life has taught me. Maybe one day it will be useful to you. By saying this, you not only reaffirm your wisdom, but also leave the door open for your words to find their place in the future. At this stage in life, remember, your experience does not have an expiration date. Keep sharing it with those willing to listen, but don't let others' lack of receptiveness make you doubt its worth. Every lesson you've learned, every story you hold within you is a beacon that can illuminate someone else's path. If you've been enjoying this video so far and feel you're gaining new ways to set boundaries and protect your peace in this stage of life, I invite you to subscribe and hit the like button. That helps me continue creating content that provides valuable tools for living with dignity, purpose, and serenity. Let me know where you're watching from. I'd love to hear from you and see how many of us are coming together to grow and learn. Stay until the end, because the last behavior we'll discuss today may be the most liberating and transformative of all. Let's continue. Number 6, disrupting your peace. In the noise of everyday life, there is something profoundly valuable that often goes unnoticed: silence. That sacred space where you can hear your own thoughts, reflect on your emotions, and reconnect with yourself. Yet, as life goes on, you may have noticed that your moments of solitude are often interrupted or even dismissed by those around you. Why do you want to be alone? Don't you get bored without company? These questions, though seemingly harmless, often reveal a lack of understanding about how much peace and quiet mean to you. Solitude is not an emptiness that needs to be filled. It is a space where you can find calm, inspiration, and purpose. Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher-emperor, spent long hours in silent reflection. He wrote, "I have often regretted speaking, but never regretted keeping silent." That stillness he valued so much allowed him to make wise decisions, something you too can do when you have time to be with yourself. As you grow older, these moments of introspection become even more precious. They give you the opportunity to process the past, make peace with what was, and decide how you want to live the present. But sometimes, those around you don't understand this desire for solitude. They may misinterpret it as sadness, isolation, or even rudeness. But seeking time for yourself is not selfish. It is self-care. You do not need to justify your moments of peace. If someone insists on filling them with unnecessary conversation or activities that don't interest you, you can calmly say, "I appreciate your concern, but this time alone helps me recharge. It's something I truly need." These words not only set a boundary, but also encourage others to understand and respect your need for tranquility. Think of nature as a teacher. A still lake reflects the sky more clearly than a restless one. The same is true for your mind and spirit. When you have space for stillness, you can see your life more clearly, process your emotions, and find solutions to the challenges you face. If you allow others to constantly interrupt your peace, you risk losing that clarity that benefits you so much. Do not feel guilty for wanting time to yourself. In a world that often values doing over being, choosing stillness may seem unusual, but it is deeply necessary. Seneca expressed it beautifully. "No wind is favorable to those who do not know where they are going." Solitude allows you to orient yourself, decide what truly matters to you, and move forward with purpose. If someone does not respect your moments of quiet, it's a sign that you need to set clearer boundaries. This doesn't mean distancing yourself completely from loved ones. It means finding a balance between time spent with others and time spent with yourself. You might say, "I truly value our relationship, but I also cherish these moments of quiet. They help me feel more connected to myself and to what really matters." Solitude is not something to be avoided or feared. It is a right you have, a gift you give yourself to care for your emotional and mental well-being. So don't let others take that sacred space away from you. In those moments of calm, you find the strength to face life with serenity and clarity, and that is something no one can take from you. Number 7, breaking family agreements. Family relationships are built on mutual respect and the agreements we establish over time. However, you may have experienced moments when the agreements that matter to you are ignored or broken by your loved ones. Maybe they promise to visit regularly, respect your personal boundaries, or help with certain responsibilities. But over time, those promises started to fade. Situations like these aren't just frustrating, they can disrupt the balance and harmony within your family. As you grow older, upholding agreements and boundaries isn't a small matter. It's an affirmation of your dignity and values. When someone disregards an agreement or crosses a boundary that's important to you, the underlying message is that your time, emotions, or needs don't carry the weight they deserve. This can lead to feelings of disappointment or even injustice. Seneca, the great Stoic philosopher, reminds us, self-respect is the foundation of all respect for others. If you don't insist on having your agreements honored, you send the message that your needs can be postponed or ignored. But demanding respect doesn't mean creating conflict. It means communicating clearly and calmly about what matters to you. For example, imagine you agreed with your children that they would visit you twice a month, but over time, those visits become less and less frequent. Instead of letting frustration build up, you could address the situation by saying, "I know we're all busy, but our visits mean a lot to me. We had agreed to see each other regularly, and I'd love for us to keep that commitment because it's important to me." This way of communicating reinforces the value of the agreement without resorting to blame or confrontation. Broken agreements can also happen in day-to-day life. Maybe a grandchild promised not to use your personal space without permission, or an adult child took on the responsibility of helping with certain tasks but hasn't followed through. In these cases, remember that keeping agreements isn't a one-sided effort. It's a mutual commitment. Just as you make an effort to keep your promises, you have every right to expect the same from others. Let's consider a common example. Linda, a grandmother who lives with her adult grandson, agreed that he would help with household chores in exchange for staying in her home rent-free. At first, everything worked well, but over time, he stopped holding up his end of the deal, leaving Linda with all the responsibilities. Wanting to avoid conflict, she said nothing for months, but the resentment quietly grew. When she finally spoke up, she did so calmly, explaining, "We had an agreement that I felt was fair for both of us. I understand that you have your own concerns, but I also need my efforts to be valued. If we can't maintain this arrangement, we may need to rethink our living situation." This direct yet respectful approach not only sets a clear boundary, but also invites the other person to reflect and work toward a solution. Marcus Aurelius said, "Do not allow the behavior of others to steal your peace." Maintaining family agreements doesn't mean controlling others. It means standing up for the respect you deserve. This isn't about imposing your will, but ensuring that relationships are built on trust and healthy balance. At the same time, it's important to be open to renegotiating agreements if circumstances change. Life is unpredictable, and people's needs evolve. However, renegotiation should come from mutual respect, not as a one-sided demand. You can say something like, "I understand that things have changed, but I'd like us to find a new way to handle this that's fair for both of us." Ultimately, family agreements are more than just promises. They are the foundation of strong and respectful relationships. By ensuring these agreements are honored, you send a clear message. Your time, your emotions, and your well-being matter. And by doing so, you're not just looking out for yourself, you're also teaching your loved ones the value of respect and reciprocity. Number 8. Diminishing your dreams and goals. One of the biggest mistakes we can make in life is letting others define the limits of our dreams. This becomes even more evident in later years when many people, intentionally or not, tend to minimize our aspirations, as if goals and ambitions no longer matter at a certain age. Phrases like, "That's not for you anymore," or "Leave that to the younger ones," can linger in your mind, not just as criticism, but as attempts to extinguish the spark that keeps you moving forward. But let me remind you of something. Your dreams do not have an expiration date. No matter how big or small, every goal you set remains valid and powerful. Seneca once said, "As long as you live, keep learning how to live." Your dreams, whatever they may be, are an essential part of living fully. Whether it's learning to paint, exploring a country you've always wanted to visit, or perfecting a skill you set aside years ago, these ambitions keep your mind engaged and your spirit alive. Often, the people who try to diminish your aspirations don't do so out of malice, but because of their own limitations. They may not understand that growth doesn't stop with age, or they might be projecting their own insecurities onto you. But what they believe does not have to define your reality. If something excites you, sparks your curiosity, or fills you with joy, you don't need anyone's permission to pursue it. I remember Linda, a woman who, at 68, decided to take dance classes. Some family members laughed and said, "At your age, aren't you embarrassed?" But Linda didn't let those comments stop her. Months later, not only had she learned to dance salsa, but she had also found a group of friends who shared her passion. Dancing didn't just bring her joy, it kept her active and made her feel more connected to life. Your dreams have the power to transform your reality. Marcus Aurelius once said, "A man's life is what his thoughts make of it." If you tell yourself it's too late to dream, you will close the door to experiences that could fill your days with purpose and meaning. But if you choose to believe that your goals are valid and worthy of your time, you'll realize that age is just a number and that there is always room for new adventures. The first step is to trust in your ability. It doesn't matter if your goal seems insignificant to others. What matters is what it means to you. Maybe you want to learn a new language, not to travel, but simply to challenge your mind and enjoy the process. Maybe you want to start a garden, not for self-sufficiency, but to connect with nature and the satisfaction of nurturing something with your own hands. Whatever it is, every small step toward your dreams brings you closer to a more fulfilling life. It's also important to remember that it's never too late to start something new. Anna Mary Robertson, better known as Grandma Moses, began painting at 78 and became one of the most celebrated artists in the United States. Her story proves that dreams don't have deadlines. They only require your decision to begin. If someone tries to discourage you, don't take it as a reason to stop. Instead, use their words as a reminder of how far you can go when you ignore outside opinions and listen to your own voice. Your dreams belong to you and no one else. And never underestimate the impact of your goals on your emotional and physical well-being. Having something to look forward to, something that motivates and inspires you, not only fills your days with purpose, but also nourishes your soul and strengthens your mental health. It's a way of telling the world and yourself that you are still here, alive and ready to keep creating, exploring, and learning. So never let anyone diminish your dreams or aspirations. Your dreams are the engine of your life, and there is always room for new adventures. As long as your heart beats and your mind dreams, you have everything you need to pursue what makes you happy. Number 9, making you feel like a burden. One of the most unfair and harmful ideas that can arise in later years is the perception that you've become a burden to those around you. Sometimes this belief comes from others, through comments or attitudes that suggest they have to take care of you, as if your needs were an inconvenience. Other times, it comes from within, when you start to feel guilty for asking for help or expressing your needs. But let me tell you something, you are not a burden. You are a person of immense value and dignity, and that value does not diminish with age. Seneca reminds us the value of life is not in its length, but in how we live it. Your contribution to the world is not measured solely by what you can do physically, but by the wisdom, love, and impact you continue to have on those around you. The experiences you've gathered over a lifetime cannot be replaced or ignored. Maybe you can't do all the things you did 20 years ago, but that does not mean you have lost your ability to enrich the lives of others. It's important not to let anyone, not even yourself, reduce your identity to that of someone who needs to be taken care of. If your children offer help, don't see it as a sign that you're a burden. See it as an opportunity to strengthen family bonds. Accept their support with gratitude while also finding meaningful ways to give back, whether by sharing your time, your knowledge, or simply your loving presence. But if someone ever suggests that your needs are an inconvenience, respond with confidence. My life has value, and while I may need support at times, I still have so much to give. This response not only reaffirms your dignity, but also reminds others that relationships are not transactions. They are connections built on mutual respect. Some people believe that independence means never needing help, but that's a myth. True independence is maintaining your self-worth and sense of purpose, even when you accept support. You are not a burden, you are a source of love, wisdom, and experience, and your presence continues to bring light to those lucky enough to have you in their lives. Never let anyone, not even your own thoughts, convince you that you are less valuable than you once were. Every day you live, you remain a force of influence, and the world still needs everything you have to offer. Number 10. Remember, your place is at the table. Have you ever felt that important family decisions are made without consulting you, even when they directly affect your life? Maybe it's something small, like rearranging your home, or something as significant as deciding where and how you'll live in the coming years. This kind of exclusion can create a deep sense of isolation, as if you're being slowly pushed to the sidelines of your own life. This isn't just about respect. It's about recognizing your autonomy. Seneca once said, "Life is like a play. It's not about how long it lasts, but how well it is performed." Being present in decisions that affect your life is part of living with dignity, of remaining the main character in your story until the very end. Exclusion doesn't always come from bad intentions. Often, children or family members believe they are protecting you by making decisions on your behalf. What they don't realize is that this protection can sometimes feel like control. It's important to remind them that while you appreciate their care, you also have the right to be part of the process. A simple statement like, "I appreciate your help, but this decision is important to me, and I want to be involved," can open the door to a more balanced conversation. Making decisions together strengthens family bonds and reinforces mutual respect. It's not just about what is decided, but how it's decided. Every time you stand up for your rights, every time you make your voice heard, you send a clear message. Your experience, your opinions, and your desires still matter. At the end of the day, you are not here to be a spectator in your own life. You are here to participate in every chapter. No one can take your place, and no one has the right to write your story for you. Stay at the table because that's where you have always belonged. We've reached the end of this journey, and I hope these reflections have given you clarity and strength to set boundaries and prioritize your well-being. In later life, just like in any stage, you have the right to be respected, to live with dignity, and to make choices that bring you the peace you deserve. Every boundary you establish, every decision you make to protect your tranquility is not just an act of self-love, it's a statement to the world about what it means to truly value life. Stoic philosophy teaches us that while we can't always change what others think or do, we can choose how we respond. True strength isn't about enduring everything, it's about knowing when to say, "I won't allow this," and moving forward with serenity. Marcus Aurelius said, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." Fill your soul with thoughts that nourish your dignity, your peace, and your joy. In the end, that's what will leave a lasting impact on those around you. If this is your first time here, my name is Gabriel, and I invite you to subscribe and turn on notifications so we can continue sharing tools and insights to help you navigate this stage of life with purpose and clarity. And if you've made it this far, it means you're committed to yourself and to the life you deserve, and that deserves recognition. To let me know you stayed until the end, comment "I am Stoic" and tell me where you're watching from. I'd love to hear from you and know that we're walking this path of transformation together. Don't forget to share this video with someone who needs it. Sometimes, a simple insight can change someone's day or even their life. I'll see you in the next video, and until then, remember, your dignity is non-negotiable.